There's no bigger pain than being the person that shares your ideas. You're always speaking. However, you get the sense that there's some form of disconnect between either you and your words or you and your audience. You're speaking, but they're just not engaging as you expected. You plan to share this vibrant idea, but there's no reaction. People aren't even moving forward with what you have said. And the key thing here is, I want you to know this, that people really listen to your intelligence, your idea, or even this grand thing that you've suggested. People listen to how you said it. They listen to the emotion behind what you're saying. They listen to how your presence is showing up while you're sharing it. So today I'm going to take you through a few pointers that will help you to start being the person that doesn't have to seek for attention, but that when you speak, people gravitate to you with their attention. And this is done simply, first of all, by knowing that people usually just stop listening when they feel lost. So the moment you start speaking by going straight into the issue without giving context or without clear guidelines as to what are you sharing and why are you sharing and where are you going with this, people disengage with that message. It's almost like how most presentations, when people get to the body segment and you start sharing the 17 bullet points and you lose your audience, that's like starting there when you're speaking. So you ideally want to ensure that you captivate with a good frame. You want to ensure that as you mention your opinion in that meeting, you start with a key point I want to mention. There are 3 core ideas that I want to add here. There are 2 questions I want us to consider. In making it clear as to what it is you're trying to get to, your audience is captivated by the clarity of direction, and not just by starting with, I'm sure we don't all know. The key idea you want to mention is the idea that you believe you need to share in this moment is direction creates safety for people. And with that clarity and orientation, people are able to take on the message with more structure. And then let's talk about it. Your energy. Oh my goodness. You cannot speak at that same monotonous lack of emotion, lack of energy when you are sharing something that's important. You need to exude a bit more emotional energy when you are sharing important points. This means when you know that there's a certain part of the message that you want people to gravitate towards to more, you start to slow down. You start to intentionally ensure that you lower your voice a little bit. You start to ensure that after you've mentioned the point, you pause and you wait for the engagement and the reaction before you continue the next point. Because when you don't do that, the message to everyone sounds like you said a lot, but they're not sure what it is they're supposed to drive home next. They're not sure what they need to make of this or what's the next most important step they need to follow. But your energy can reveal it in the way that you share it. And then a big one. Connection will always beat information. Being intelligent as you are, knowing a lot means that you are often focused on the information and whether it's correct or not, instead of focusing on, is the information correct for the audience that I'm speaking to? And that means being able to adapt, adjust, and make the message clear for the people listening to you at that time. And a lot of times it would mean removing the jargon, it would mean using inclusive language. When you speak to people, instead of speaking at them and throwing information at them, it means that as you are speaking, you are also giving them permission to give you feedback. Connection means that as they are nodding, you are also reacting to their reactions and not giving them blank stares while you are speaking. So a simple nod when you see someone agreeing with your point. A simple smile when you see someone getting excited about what you're sharing. That shows them that you see them and that the message matters for them and you're not just sharing a lot of information. Another important thing is less is more. This means being clear and concise is more important than adding too much unnecessary clutter and detail. What you want to ask yourself is, what is the key thing I want them to remember as I'm speaking? What is the one thing that I hope they're going to start doing the moment they leave this room? And that you need to say in a way that is brief, in a way that then is clear and concise. And then after you've shared your idea, just stop speaking and stop asking them for validation, because you need to showcase that you've believed in the message. And then you want to do it like all of us do it on the last slide. We say, and the key takeaways are. And you want to do this verbally, so train yourself to speak like this as well. Never assume people know the key takeaways, because there are times where you've shared a brief detail on something that could cause for people to deviate and go that direction. But if you decide to steer them in a specific direction by saying that the key takeaway from this message is, the one thing I want us to start doing the moment we leave this room is, it anchors the message and it gives people clear direction of what to do with all this information that you've shared. Remember, people don't gravitate to information. They gravitate to connection. So the first thing I want you to do again, let's recap, is I want you to know that people stop listening when they feel lost. So make it clear with regards to the direction. What is the observation? What are the key points that you are sharing? And then you want to ensure that the energy meets the message. When it's important, you slow down. You lower your voice. You pause. So change the way in which you're sharing important things. And then you want to ensure that you connect. You see your people. You acknowledge them as they respond with their body, with their nodding heads. You ensure that the message is catered for them and that it's not just a show of your intelligence, but it's a proof of a transfer of information. And then less is more. We always want to ensure we speak with conciseness, with clarity, rather than overshadowing the key message with a lot of unnecessary details. And finally, always wrap it up with your key takeaways. What are the main things you want people to do after you have spoken? What is the one thing they need to remember? By doing this, you will stop feeling like you're speaking and no one is listening. If this is a message that has changed the way in which you thought you were sharing, but it wasn't clear and now it's become clearer, I want you to just take a step further by looking into our description box where I have given you a gift. And this gift is the gift of a 7-day free challenge where I will walk you through bite-sized information for 7 days where you can start learning how to share those messages so that they land. Until I see you again, remain unforgettable.